The incredible Sidney Poitier was a pioneering actor whose characters broke down barriers, reshaped Hollywood, especially in the 1950s and 60s. Now, a revealing new documentary from US talk show host Oprah Winfrey explores his work as an actor, filmmaker and activist who played a key role in the civil rights movement. I got a chance to chat about the film, simply called Sidney, exclusively with Oprah and director Reginald Hudlin.
I'm a black man in a white.
There was a habit in Hollywood of utilizing blacks in the most disrespectful ways. And I said, I cannot play that.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
I'm a black man in a white.
It was the first time I had seen a black man assert his power.
Biggest box office draw, black man, 1967-68. And the whole country is spiraling around him.
Welcome to News Breakfast. How are you both?
Very good.
We're good. Sitting here in Toronto.
I've got to say, just a huge congratulations. I laughed, I cried. I think I felt everything in between when I watched this. It was amazing, especially being a black man myself. It was so inspiring. Oprah, I know Sidney meant so much to you, and he means so much to so many people. Did you feel the weight of responsibility in trying to tell this story in the most respectful way possible?
I think that was the goal, Tony. I think when Reginald and I sat down, we said we have one intent. Intention is really important to both of us, and that is an offering to the world that honors the essence of who Sidney is in such a way that we guard that story and protect that story. And now our baby goes out into the world, and the world gets to see and experience him in a 2-hour format in a way that we certainly have come to know him and appreciate him. And we're hoping that the world will see and appreciate what we have seen.
I mean, how could they not?
I left the Bahamas with this sense of myself. And from the time I got off the boat, America began to say to me, you're not who you think you are.
You've done such a great job, and he was such an incredible man. Reginald, what does it say about America that it took someone who didn't grow up there to begin changing some of those stereotypes around black people? And I guess the second part to this is, could Sidney Poitier have been who he was if he had grown up in the United States?
You have to say, when you see these, once in a lifetime lightning in a bottle type people, what made them? Right? That fundamental question, do the times make the man? Does the man make the times? It's a little bit of both. There's no doubt that growing up in an all-black environment, even with the scarce resources that he grew up with, but he had the most important resource was his parents, who gave him the courage, the integrity, the respect for education, the drive to become who he was. So yes, it's an immigrant story. It's a story of oppressed people of color. It's a story of an artist in search of a way to express himself. There's so many on-ramps to connect to this guy who not only transformed entertainment, but transformed society on a global basis.
You think of yourself as a colored man. I think of myself as the man.
There were so many bits that amazed me in this film, Oprah. Tell me, what was it like to meet your hero? You mentioned in the film that it took your breath away. Could you please take us through that moment again?
Okay, I'll tell you about the take my breath away moment. If you tell me about, you said there were so many things about this film that amazed you. I want to know what some of them were.
Yeah, geez, I'm under the spotlight here. Well, I guess, look, the first one for me would have been, I guess, when he was initially told no. He was told that he should go and be a dishwasher rather than stick at acting. And he went and bought, I think it was a $14 transistor radio, and he listened back to that. And he would mimic that voice, practicing it over and over and over again, just shaping his voice to change his accent.
He was quite upset and angry, and he tossed me out of there. That's the moment I became an actor, you see.
I said, I am going to become an actor. And when I do, I'm going to come back and show that man.
The other thing, this one's a bit more personal. It's about the weight of expectation and, I guess, not only who you have to be, but who other people think you should be. What is being more black and proud than him and Harry Belafonte going south with money for the civil rights movement? I mean, that's rock and roll stuff. Yeah. And then years later, him being called not progressive enough, Uncle Tom type figure. I mean, that really stood out to me.
Who thinks you're going to grow up and meet your heroes? Most people don't. I didn't. And by that time, I had met Maya Angelou and I had met Quincy Jones. So I'm like, whoa, what an amazing life I have. And when Quincy Jones had this 42nd birthday party for me and invited Sidney Poitier, who's a close friend of his, and I walked down the stairs and there he was, my heart stopped. I didn't know what to say. And he just said, my dear, I have been longing to meet you. And that is exactly how my heart felt about him. I had been longing to meet him since I was 10 years old. And I can tell you this, Tony, of all the people I've ever met in the world and interviewed in the world, and I've interviewed over 35,000 people one-on-one and I read the books and, you know, have never encountered anybody who measured up to my idea of who they were and then exceeded it beyond my imagination or expectation. It's not just that he, in a moment, was shown himself to be a good person or an honorable person. It's in everything that he ever did. It's sitting in a restaurant with him and the waiter comes up and offers him some food and he asks the waiter, how is he doing today? And are you married? And do you have children? And tell me about your children. And the guy now sitting down at the table who was serving us, now telling us about his life. Every single person encountered, he fully saw them, you know, which I think as human beings, as our offerings to each other, that is the greatest gift you can give anybody, is your full presence. So I've never spent a moment of time with him where I didn't feel like I was the most valuable person in the world in that moment to him. And he was able to do that for everybody. So measured up, beyond measure.
Reginald, Oprah, you guys have done such an amazing job. Thank you so much for taking time to chat to us here at News Breakfast. And I can't wait for everyone to see your baby, because your baby's a beauty.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
My life has had more than a few wonderful, indescribable turns, and I have lived them.
Whoa, mercy, mercy me.